so much for having me here. Super excited. And also, this is the topic that I feel super passionate about. I've been doing personal and company OKRs for many, many years. By the way, who knows what OKRs stand for? Yes, please. Yeah, that's what people say, objectives and key results. Sometimes I think it stands for obviously kind of random. At least the way many companies practice those. So that's exactly what my talk is about, how to use objectives and key results with AI to make them actionable, pragmatic, and as simple as they should be. On this topic, my favorite metaphor about OKRs, it's like IKEA furniture, which is super simple and looks like extremely simple and straightforward, but try to assemble it. Right? So it's really like hard to manage and do it right. So a few words about me. I do not represent Amazon. I do what I'm super passionate about, which is listening to the community and contributing the best way I can. I'm a builder, so I'm not a professional speaker. You will kind of see it very soon. But what I try to do is share what I know and learn from others. And one thing about me, I practice personal OKRs. And that helps a ton. I think there is a reason a few presentations today, Terry's and the one that we just heard, were about objective setting. That's how actually we find joy in what we deliver. And that's what I'd love to share with you today. And by the way, I practice personal OKRs. So when normal people have New Year resolution, I have my personal OKRs annually, and I have long-term, short-term, and I share them with my friends so that they hold me accountable and check them on a regular basis, as we should with company OKRs. So today we'll talk specifically about AI tools, because I think AI tools bring the whole new meaning to OKRs. They make them actionable, realistic, and very specific. So that's what the talk is about. That's very simple 5 steps. That's the framework I put together, because I truly believe if you get those 5 things right, then you will be able to meet your objectives. The first one is actually setting those OKRs with AI tools. The second one is using predictive analytics to measure them. The third one is what many, many companies, in my experience, forget about, which is cascade them correctly so that you minimize dependencies and your teams do not compete with each other, and also everyone sees how what they do contributes to bigger goal that they want to deliver. Then I feel that what is really important to measure them and put zero effort. I chatted with Terry, who showed us that actually everything is automated. So it's not like manually a project manager reports to leaders how well are they doing on specific key result. It's all in one place and everyone can see it. And the last one, because the expectation is OKRs have to be super ambitious and really hard to meet, and we don't expect to meet them all. And that's why pivoting when needed, like early enough. And sometimes humans do not see early enough when it's time to pivot. I'll tell you a story that happened to me. So how to know when is pivot and where to pivot. And that's the whole power of AI OKRs. So all the images, I am really bad with drawing or kind of abstract thinking in general. So all the images in today's presentations are AI generated by like basic free AI tools based on different prompts that I created. So with that, let's jump into the first one, which is how you actually write OKRs. And for each of those 5 steps, I'll talk about like an example from a human, from an AI tool, and what are the best practices, and then about what tools I used, or I spoke with over 100 of colleagues in 9 companies where I led agile transformations or personally led teams of builders on what works for them. So creation of OKRs seems really simple, and I specifically created a good example from humans on very specific ambitious objective, very specific key results, which seemed really good to me personally. That was one of my organizations. And then I just simply asked ChatGPT, rewrite it for me. And then asked questions, why did you rewrite it this way? and what do you know about OKRs? And I loaded just one basic definition that I got from one of AI books. And if you can see, it changed a lot. First, objective is like, what's the difference between human objective and AI objective based on this experience? Anyone help me there, because I didn't see it initially. Time bound for OKRs, great point, and we totally missed it. Objective itself, it sounds similar, right? But the first one talks about what to do. And the second one talks about inspiration, like why we are doing it. And that was a huge difference. Like we put it in the office on poster and like posted it. We're transforming claims processing. And that was United Health Group objective. The other one was like specifically, what is the problem? So we loaded like minimal data, but it told us fraud was a major problem that we were trying to fight, but not very successfully. So it says implement, at that time, ML-based fraud recognition system. That alone made a huge difference, 20+% difference in improving accuracy. The Net Promoter Score, again, we frequently say, what's the right percentage? And we'll talk about metric setting. But in this case, our leaders told us 20%, and we had nothing to tell them back. Like, proved out to be completely unrealistic. With AI tools, they tell us exactly based on the trends, based on the industry information, what can be done, what cannot be done. And these are some of the key practices. Ask for 5 sets of OKRs, zero down, ask why, kind of continue talking to your AI tool until you really understand whether it's the problem you didn't load enough company data, you didn't give enough definitions, or maybe you are missing something. So I love those dialogues, and also I like generate 20. What if this? Why did you select that? So this dialogue proves to be very efficient. And these are some of the tools, again, basic ones. I like Jasper, but ChatGPT is good enough. Claude is good. Obviously, you have to deal with data security. For that purpose, Amazon has Parity Rock. I love Parity Rock because it lets you create your own apps. So I created my own for every single person. I want specific key results. I want key results in the area of AWS payments, or I want key results for this specific team, and this is the structure of the team, or this is the mission. I love, by the way, this prompt. Here is the company mission. Tell me if my team's OKRs align with the mission. And they will say, hey, like, did you think about that? And ask specifically, what didn't I think about? So that's about setting OKRs. Again, you set them, but you have to be very specific in your measurements, because if OKRs are not realistic, then everyone is demotivated. Like, why is it worth trying if it's impossible to reach the objective? So these are predictive analytics tools. I love thinking about like a little bit too ambitious key results, but not too ambitious. But different companies have different policies. So some want them to be really ambitious. And this is only possible if there is no fear of failure. Like sometimes there is kind of fine-tuning your culture before you actually set up your super ambitious OKRs. But on this topic, these are examples, and these are examples, again, like humans versus AI, actual examples. And they could be about your delivery practices. I love more when they're about outcomes, but again, I promise to use actual examples only. And we can see like what's achievable and why. Process-driven OKRs obviously are not as good, but sometimes I feel that it's worth having process-driven and delivery-driven OKRs. But again, you know, as you are setting them up, don't rely on AI only. Sometimes I put a disclaimer there. Results vary based on leadership support. When you have top-down, I want 5% revenue increase. There is very little you can do unless you use AI tool to support your opinion. You show the trends, you use what's realistic, 5 to 7%. We cannot give you 20 at this time. So with that, I would just mention that proactive risk identification, we'll talk about risk management, enhanced decision making where humans participate, with AI, and in the end of the day, human-owned OKR. So whatever I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt. AI is only making suggestions unless people on the ground are passionate. They take this input, make it their own, discuss it, align on it, handshake on it. None of it makes any sense. So AI does not replace humans, but it is a huge help, especially in making your key results realistic and protecting your teams from overcommitting, which obviously happens all the time. Some of the tools, the results that we used for this OKR was Tableau with Einstein. Now it comes by default, but BigML, CISO, I like Amazon SageMaker, it comes to me for free. But all of those predictive analytics tools are definitely better than humans, much better than we are here. The third one is how you cascade OKRs, and that's what so many people miss. I work for Fortune 100 companies, and over there, dependency management is huge. So if I am driving one product and my peer with another large, like several hundred people organization drives another product, and all of us are supported by the same authentication system and permissioning and like a lot of other things that we need to run our products, and we start competing, then it's not good. So I put so much emphasis on cascading so that we have as little dependencies as possible. I get a question here sometimes, like, how do you manage dependencies? And my answer is, I prefer not to manage them. And if you cascade OKRs well, actually, those dependencies are really minimal. And if you ever, as a kid, like, played this game of broken phone, when like someone on top sets OKR and then it propagates throughout the organization, and what the teams, the actual teams on the ground who get the work get is more kind of, first, it's not related to the original why, and second, it comes to them as like, this is what you have to do. You have to build this feature, you have to move to a different system, you have to build this. And why is missing. So that's why I'm like super passionate about cascading OKRs correctly. And I do a very stupid thing. Again, like data protection is important, so I use internal tools, but I actually put all the org chart like inside the tool, and I say, hey, like these are the teams, and this is how we're currently structured, and this is our organizational OKR cascaded throughout the organization. And it's interesting because it tells me like your usual legal, data security, but also it tells me there are like 3 more product teams who are doing something very similar. Why don't you talk to them? For example, one of my organizations was responsible for what we call demand planning and talent acquisition, which is like how many people in which geographies and which roles we need to hire over 3 years, and building budget about it. So I found out actually throughout like huge 1.5 million employee company, there were 3 different groups working on the same problem. And I wouldn't know it if I didn't ask, like, who should I collaborate on this? Is it talent acquisition? Is it workforce planning? Is it finance? Who is responsible for it? So, and basically you get results. I promised actual examples. This is not the best one, but a good one was where I was building a product and gave me marketing, sales, 3-peer product team, 2 leaders at executive level who were supporting it. And we built one simple OKR, like very simple, very specific, and all cascaded from it. And obviously we have an internal mapping system, and it tells us how we're doing. And otherwise, I can't even imagine like doing it manually or not having this like child-parent structure of our OKRs. So clear ownership, dependency, insights, handshake before you commit to it, and any gaps in how you deliver against it are super important. So we were talking about cascading, multiple tools. I like that, like usual work management tools, and OKR tools like Purdue, but also Workboard, like Jira now has the optional OKR AI-driven plugin. All of those support cascading functionality. Now, that we set up OKR, we have measurements, we cascading them, we did our handshake, how we actually track and report them. The only possible answer is we do it automatically through the tools. What AI brings there is you don't only have the dashboard, but it tells you how well you are doing. And sometimes, especially when you build your products incrementally, you are kind of have to wait until the key features are built and incrementally rolled out. And it's not linear. So saying we're now 10%, so by the year, no way we're meeting this OKR, not always correct. Or saying we're now 50% and it's mid-year, so we should be okay, is not correct either. So that's where OKR tools come into play. OKR tools and measurements that we create make a lot of sense until we have to start tracking them. And then all sorts of questions come up. So being able to predict scientifically how we're doing and immediately pivot if we cannot, I think is the biggest power that AI tools are giving you. So this is, I couldn't give specifics for security purposes, so I put KR1, KR2 here, but this is a huge multi-billion initiative where very early we were able to say, we're not doing well. And we thought actually we were doing perfectly. But what we did, Amazon has this concept of away teams, which is the whole team that is working in one area, supports another organization, another objective for a specific period of time to work together to deliver something. So through this, when we identify that OKRs need support, we can move teams, not individuals, but teams to support this other area. And in this specific case, what actually happened, we found out that we had features that we were delivering incrementally, but actually most of them, as we were delivering them to early adopters, made no difference to their use of the tools. But one specific feature was a huge hit. So instead of building more, we focused on rolling out to general audience the exact feature that the customer needed and learning from it. So overall, I would say that the best practice here is like look at your dashboards and have them powered by AI tools. Again, tools, Tableau, Alteryx is good. I use Amazon SageMaker to tell you not just here is your dashboard, but this is the problem. This is like what you may want to look at. And then actually I load this data into Parity Rock app that I built for this purpose, and it tells me, tell me 10 reasons what I can do about it, or give me 10 reasons why it may be happening. And what data, and when it gives me 10 reasons, I look at them, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not, and then ask the question like, what additional data would help you to zero down on the root cause? But then whatever I get from the tool, I bring it to humans. And that's where we have retrospectives and look at more data and make our decisions together. So all of it is not just transparency. I think it's just transparency on steroids that help us pivot as we need. I mentioned Jira Align, Monday.com, like Asana with AI plugin. Like most of the modern tools have this functionality, but I was talking to one of my colleagues who told me that actually those features are hardly used in those tools. And plugins are not really making the market yet. I hope that will be very different soon. So now that we know where we are doing okay and where we need help, now it's time to do risk management. I also liked in previous presentation we were talking about KPIs and risk KPIs. So that's where it all comes to, how we pivot when we identify the risk. So several things that we can do. So number one is how do we allocate our teams, how we best prioritize our features, what decisions we can make. And the idea is to pivot. AI won't tell us this exact step will take you to the new level. AI tells us, like, look here, or try this. So pivoting and trying and measuring and using AI tools to do all this for us is how we change the whole prioritization framework. And also, Amazon has the concept of paper cuts. Anyone heard what a paper cut is in software? I love it. I never heard about it until I came to Amazon. So frequently, we have product roadmaps, and we plan, and we want to think big and long-term and deliver incrementally. But paper cut, like imagine you cut your finger. It's kind of annoying, but not big enough to stop what you're doing and like focus on doing something about it. It will go away. So we have a concept of like tiny, small, really annoying user problems. Like, I don't know, continue button is red. Like, why is it red? But your users know, and those are your internal users. And you keep forgetting that kind of doesn't make sense, but it's OK. So we use AI to help us prioritize those paper cuts. And we deliver them. And you won't believe they make users so happy. And we have paper cut-driven OKR. OKR, actually, one of the pivoting techniques told us, stop building those big features. Like, do paper cuts as much as you can. And then we used predictive analytics, and it told us if we allocate about like 5 to 7% capacity, our NPS will go up 10%. And it went up like more than 20%, I think 23. So, really cool findings, and sometimes we just miss them because we're so deep into delivering features to customers. So that's the difference between pivots that are suggested by humans. And by the way, humans, I selected better examples by humans who know what they're doing. So humans usually think in the right direction, but with AI, the suggestions are very specific. Some of the best practices, again, continuous monitoring, data-driven insights, load data into your AI tools as soon as you get the data. If you're not sure about the data, be very clear. Kind of, I got this report, but maybe we're missing something here. And enhance collaboration between your teams and support from leadership. So basically, it all translates to having the right tools, the right level of support, and engaged teams who are passionate about your OKRs. The case study that I have here to share with you, it's generic, but as you can see, it's a huge team of huge engineering organization that was a large annual OKR to rethink the whole Amazon payment system, all the invoicing that comes from thousands of large vendors in different formats. So the easy way to do this was, again, data-driven prioritization, predictive analytics, continuously learning and pivoting as needed. And we had to pivot twice. And even though we didn't meet the key results fully, but if we didn't pivot early enough, we would be very far. We ended up meeting it 20% rather than 23% reduction target. So here is the summary. If you do use OKRs throughout all the 5 steps, if you keep the 5 steps of OKR implementation in mind, bring OKRs but rely on humans, then you're good. But you don't need to set up OKRs. You need to execute on them end to end. And that's where your AI tools will help you. The value of OKRs, as always, doesn't depend on the tools. It depends on how consistent, passionate, and engaging your implementation of those tools is. So I created this bonus list of kind of, for me, when we're successful with our AI-driven OKR implementations, that's what we do. I personally look at this list and do my check marks. I never checked all of them, but I know that if I'm implementing more and more of those practices, I'm moving in the right direction. And as one CEO put it, we implemented OKRs, and we are doing OK. And I would say if you add AI to your OKRs, you'll be doing A-OK. So with that, thank you so much for listening to me, and I'd love questions.